Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef continuing our Brother ScanNCut Basics series. So in this video we are going to cover how to cut out these cute little borders to add as card elements. And we're going to be doing that using the background scanning feature. Now you may have a lot of scraps in your house, like we've already used this up a lot and I've actually done some before since the last video. And now say you want to use all these bits and pieces like this here, this section, but you're not sure where to place your shapes on the mat. So I'm going to show you how to scan this in as a background so that when we create our shapes, they will cut in the exact part of the mat we want them to. So let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to take this piece of scrap paper and I'm going to attach it to the mat. Okay, and remember all the times I've gone over this, our mats are not very sticky. You're probably sick of me saying that. Okay, so I use some painter's tape to hold the mats, or hold the paper or the cardstock on into place. Okay, now here's where we're at with the cards. And I told you, I promised you I wouldn't leave out any steps. All I've done is I decided not to use this R. I used the plaid R because of the way that they layered. It's something I better show you with the software more than explaining it now. I decided to layer these up with dimensionals and some other rolling adhesives. So this card I'm really happy with. It's pretty much done. This card here, I'm going to show you while it's cutting our other shapes how I inked the edges. Okay, and then I'm going to attach that sentiment. We're cut out to be friends. We're going to be adding borders in these spots. Okay, and that'll be done. And I'm adding some more scissors and borders to this one. And another little, I already have the borders made for this one. And we'll probably glue those into place. See how much time we have while it's cutting. Because you know I don't like to waste time. We like to do things while our machine is cutting. So let's bring the ScanNCut back into place. And I'm just going to go ahead and load the mat. Okay. And if you recall from an earlier video that when you use this kind of light cardstock, I was using a blade depth of 4. Okay, so now let's go into the pattern. Find my stylus. What we want now are these borders. These borders are meant for scrapbooking. So when you first put them on the mat, they're going to be really long, and we're going to change that. So let's do a zigzag. Okay, and see how it's like 11.42 inches. We're just going to say no, we want it to be, okay, but first of all, let me take off this button, which is, that way we can change the height and the width independently. I'm going to go with 0.75, only because I've already been experimenting. Okay, 0.75, oop, I'm sorry, that's this one. 0.75, well, does it really matter? Let's see. Yeah, that's right. 0.75 in the height. That's correct. And then the width. We're going to go with the width, 5.25. Okay, so here's the point. This is what it comes out like, 0.75. And then this one was a lot shorter, but I tried this one. This is a little rectangle we're going to be putting it onto. I need to put that in the light. That's mint macaron cardstock. And let me just show you what I'm planning on doing with this. So I'm putting that on the card, this rectangle, and we know how to cut out rectangles. Okay, and so there we're just cutting out the zigzag to put inside. So 0.75 by 5.25. Okay, let's do 2 of those. Okay, so we have 2 zigzags because I have 2 cards that I could put the borders on. Okay, like there's one, and here's the other one, and I'm gonna put that zigzag in the middle of those. Okay, now let's do some curvy borders. Let's go ahead and add to this, and we're gonna go borders again, but instead of the zigzag, I want curvy borders. And I don't really need to because I already have some, but I'm just showing you how I got them. So a curvy border would be like used on this type of card. I have already cut that out on this length. But I can go ahead and cut out on the height one, but I can go ahead and cut out one that will fit on this card down the bottom, just to show you how I got that one. And so let's find, sometimes when you put so many layers on a card and it's also been a little while since I filmed between, so I have to actually get a ruler and see what is the length here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This was 4.75, this mat. So that's what I'm doing. So we're gonna say this one, and we're gonna say, take off this button. I'm gonna say it's 0.75 by, okay, let's go down, 4.75. And I just need one of these. I don't need two. Because remember I said one card is already done. But if you have the paper, you can go ahead and cut extra elements if you want. But I'm just going to go send one. Now, you recall that this mat is on, it's already taped onto my ScanNCut. So here's the trick. You're using up your scraps of paper. Okay? If I were to say cut, I would be cutting this and it would be cutting out on a part of the paper. I need to just show you this again because it's been a little time's gone by. It would cut on the part of the mat which you can't cut on. I need to cut on this part over here, see? So this is a section. So that's where this video, the point of this video, I was leading up to it. The point is we're gonna use this feature here that we have not used in this whole entire series yet. It's called the background scanning feature. So you're gonna hit this and you're gonna scan in, it's gonna say start, stop. You're gonna scan in the background. You're gonna scan in the mat. Why? So that we place our cutting images in the right spot. Okay, here we go. So, there's the part we want to cut on. I'm going to take this little zigzag. It outlines in red. Move it there. Okay, I'll take another zigzag, move it underneath that one. And I'll take this little curvy border and move it right there. Okay, so, if you can't see that, I'm going to get a little closer with my camera. Okay, there. I'm going to move this really close so you can see. That, don't worry about the tape. That's just your tape. Because as long as you're cutting on the paper, I'm going to move it down a little. There. So basically, you're cutting in a region that has the mat stuck to it. So that's what you want. You say, okay, you cut. Now see, now I'm cutting. Put that over. Now I'm cutting in the right spot. So that way, you're using up your scraps. You're cutting in the right spot. You're getting to make the most of all of your paper. Okay. I said while it's cutting, I'm going to show you how I inked up the edges. So all I did to ink up the edges, I took this powder pink ink, squeezing the stamp pad, and I get powder pink on the lid. Okay, that's all I've done. So I've just moved this out of the way. Powder pink on the lid, and then I just take a sponge. You can use your sponge daubers. I'm just using a sponge tool that I like here. I'm just rubbing it on the ink, and you just get your shapes. I've actually stamped some extra shapes too. And you just sort of ink around the edges. There's a lot of ink on this one because it's nice and juicy just for this example, but I'm just kind of showing you how I ink. And one of the reasons, remember I told you earlier in an earlier video that I like to stamp around on both sides of my shapes. And that one of the reasons is if I mess up the inking, then I can also, use the other side. So sometimes I mess up the stamp, sometimes I mess up the inking, but now I don't waste any time. I have both sides stamped and I'm ready to go. In this case, I like it better when the second time you use the sponge. Like I haven't touched it again back to the ink. I can probably ink 3 or 4 of these. With the 3 or 4 of these with the same sponge here. Because I actually like them when they're lighter versus darker. It adds a bit of dimension. So I just wanted to show you sort of how I do that. And I do it all the time. So sometimes I use the little daubers that fit on your finger. Sometimes I use this type of sponge. I'll link in the description where you can find this. And when I first started filming this video, like mint macaron was going to be a retired color. And what's exciting is Stampin' Up didn't retire this color. So I will actually link to my Stampin' Up store where you can buy this ink as well if you want. And I'll link to my Amazon store too, or display it to show you where you can get some of these things to sponge with. But anyway, my point is, when we were making cards, I said that, you know, we're gonna cut out to be friends. And I just wanted to show you how I ink those starburst that we created in one of the earlier videos. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, close my ink pad, I'm gonna go ahead and unload the mat, and I'm gonna show you these border patterns. Okay, I'm gonna peel them off the mat. Pretty cool. And I'm just gonna show you what I wanna do with them. I wanna take those, I'm gonna attach them with glue. It can be rolling adhesive, it can be liquid glue, to these pieces like that. Then I'm going to attach them, oh, not that card, to my cards, like so. And my sentiments, which I've stamped and inked. And then what we need is our little scissors. So in the next video in the series, I'm going to show you how to use the ScanNCut to cut out stamped images, like these little scissors. Then we're going to color them in, attach them to our card, and we will be done with this totally awesome project that had multiple steps. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.